last night on The Bachelorette.
I'm having so much fun right now. I'm not even gonna lie, this is dope.
Everyone grab a partner.
Okay.
Alright, bro.
You could be out of this.
Let's play Duck, Duck, Goose.
Let's play Duck, Duck, Goose.
You want to wait for Michelle or just play without?
No, she can join us. She can join us when we play.
I love you. I love you, man.
I love you. I'm not even embarrassed to say it.
I want the world to know. It's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Boop, boop, boop.
I love you. I love you.
Welcome back to another Bachelorette recap, this time for week 4 of Michelle's season, where the men are making the most of their last week in Palm Springs by spending some serious alone time with each other and not Michelle.
Hey, Will, you want some cotton candy?
I never expected it.
Yeah.
It's like Disney World.
Disney World.
Thankfully though, Nayte Chris S here has arrived to save the day, throw everyone under the bus, and become the new season villain. But before we get into that, we first need to go over his villain origin story, where after Chris embarrassingly falls over in his chair, Joe then maliciously taunts Chris by balancing on the same chair beside him, and Chris vows to get his revenge on the lot of them. So on to the first of 2 one-on-ones this week, which this time is going to Martin. And on this date, the two are going to be racing cars and then at the end of the night, start talking about family. And is it me, or are these movie plug dates getting really out of hand?
There's always room for family.
Well, after a bunch of racing around, these two then cool off in this giant can of tuna, and it's here where Martin shows Michelle that he knows all the right things to say when cuddling up with his girl. Like how he thinks the dude who disrespected her the day before is not a bad guy.
As far as Jamie's situation goes, I'm not trying to take his side or anything. I just think, because what happens is, everybody's like, oh, he's a rat, he's did this, he did that, and I was like, oh, well, I don't think he's a bad person. I still think he's a hell of a man.
Well, this pool just got ice cold, as Michelle is left to wonder, is Martin defending Jamie? Is he trying to tell Michelle she made the wrong decision in sending him home? Is he really spending all his time in this tuna can talking about another dude? Oh, and anytime the girl you're with gives you the 5-second sigh out mid-sentence, you know things aren't going well.
But also, like I said, your relationship is different the relationship that the guys have. So I'm just talking about him just in general. It's
So as a result of that conversation, the night portion of this date has become incredibly important, as Michelle needs to know that the guy she's with trusts her decisions, and if Martin can't clear things up, he might be heading home just like his bro Jamie. And so, Michelle sits down with Martin and asks for clarity on their earlier conversation about Jamie, which Martin says came down to poor communication on his part.
I haven't always been good at communicating. My dad, he's never been good at communicating. Growing up, I never had somebody in my family that I could just turn to and talk about my emotions.
Well, that was quite the pivot, but hey, I guess it really worked for Martin, as the two then talk about their family and about learning to be more open with their emotions. And Jamie is never mentioned again. Back at the bro pad, the group date card has arrived, and this time the guys are hoping not to hear their names, as that would mean they're getting the final one-on-one of the week. But when it comes down to either Rick or Nayte, and Rick gets the one-on-one, Nayte brushes it off and isn't stressing.
I'm not stressing about when I'm gonna get a one-on-one date. All I know is a one-on-one is coming. If it's not today, it's gonna be another time.
Nate said that he assumes he's gonna get a one-on-one, it just matters when. He came off as really cocky.
I don't agree. But Chris here, or if you've watched my previous videos, Millhouse as I like to call him, I don't know, it's a vibe thing I've been getting ever since this clip aired.
Got my eyebrows done. I'm not afraid to share that about myself.
Well, Millhouse here is tired of being looked over and getting no screen time, so he's got a plan. Back on the date with Martin, Martin's plan to pivot away from Jamie has worked, and Michelle commends him for opening up and sharing his struggles with communicating. And so, Martin gets a rose, and the two smooch inside a planetarium. On to the group date of the episode, where after receiving a knock at the door, the men are gifted special outfits for them to wear on their date, PJs for a slumber party. And to make Chris's villain turn even worse, they set him up in just a shirt and whitey tighties and make him recreate that scene from Risky Business. So on this date, the men and Michelle are having a slumber party filled with food, games, and teddy bears. But as the guys start to dive into the fun, Michelle is feeling a little left out.
I think it would be safe to say that the men are embracing their inner man-child a little too much.
You don't want it?
You got a sleepy bear?
Really, these guys are all having the time of their life together while Michelle just sits there like,
a puppy party! Oh boy.
Well, seeing this, and literally having to call over men to come be with her, has caused Michelle to feel unseen by the group. And even though she tries to swallow this feeling while the date transitions into a teddy bear takedown challenge hosted by the Bella twins, Michelle can't quite shake it.
We're good. I promise. Sorry. I know that I have this amazing group of guys here, and I want to bring down the energy in the room.
Anyways, at the end of the date, Swolu Olu wins the teddy bear takedown for his team and... oh no, they're off celebrating and not one of them has gone up to Michelle. And this is getting so bad that Michelle then has to go and sit down with Caitlyn and talk it out. I mean, she even said in her poem the week before how being looked at as the token black girl and not a romantic option was something that hurt her growing up. So, Michelle decides that she has to bring it up at the night portion of the date with the winning team, telling them all how she felt unseen during their date, and that leads into one of her biggest fears.
My biggest fear in all of this is that I could commit to somebody who doesn't eventually see me, and that's something that I've dealt with before.
At this point, Michelle then pulls Nayte aside and singles him out, not because he's the only one who broed out too much on the date, but because of the level of feelings she already has for him. And so, the men's apology tour begins.
I'm sorry for making you feel that way.
I felt like, I was not really giving you the attention I wanted to give you.
I know that I can be better than what I am, and I definitely don't want you to feel like I'm not seeing you.
But as Michelle sits down with all of the men, it's actually Olu who comes out with the sweetest moment of the date when he shares with Michelle how her opening up to the group about feeling unseen really got him emotional, as that's also something that his sisters have experienced.
I want to cry, but I feel you, I hear you. Everything you're doing now shows that you're a strong woman. I appreciate you.
Okay, a strong, confident man who can win a teddy bear fighting contest and is unafraid to show his emotions? We stan. And when it comes down to that group date rose, Olu's vulnerability and openness made Michelle feel seen, and so he gets the rose. With that, it's now time for Rick's one-on-one, where him and Michelle are heading into the mountains to, hike and stuff, I guess. So they walk through the woods until eventually they come across a Take-A-Wish, Leave-A-Wish box, where before you put your wish into the box, you have to take some out and read the wishes of those who came before you. Like this one, I wish to find my soulmate. And you can actually tell through how ancient this note is, along with it being initialed CB, that this was originally written by Chris Bukowski. But things get serious when Rick pulls out a paper that says, I wish my dad could see the man I've become, and Rick gets emotional as his dad passed away 3 years ago. The two then put in their own wish of we wish to find love by having hard conversations, and then they smooch on a giant log. And I gotta say, Rick's really one-upping all those dudes from the group date earlier, cause while they were spending their time playing who can punch each other in the gut the hardest, Rick's out here laser focused on Michelle even though he's getting eaten alive and being attacked by mosquitoes. At the night portion of their date, Rick continues the conversation about his dad, saying that his relationship with him was a very complicated one. His parents split, and for the longest time, Rick felt like it was his fault, as one day, he had found his dad's phone with text messages on it from another woman. He showed these to his mom, and it turned out his dad was cheating.
And I know deep down, like my dad, to the day he died, I'm still blaming me because I blew the whistle, unfortunately. It hurts.
But Rick says he's appreciative of Michelle because even through the emotion brought out by the note that they got earlier, she stayed open and made it easy for him to be vulnerable. And you know he's fighting a surge of emotions when he starts to whisper halfway through his sentence.
That's why that note today hit hard. Yeah. But you definitely made it easier for me today.
I feel like that's something a lot of dudes do. I know I've done it. Well, Michelle says that even though Rick's past has hurt him, it made him who he is today. And Rick says that his gut is telling him he could fall in love with Michelle, and he's going to enjoy every moment he gets with her.
And just look forward to the next time I get another moment with you, and the next. Because I'm actually looking forward to that moment where I can say I'm in love.
And so, Rick gets a rose and a private concert. Well, with that done, we are now headed into the cocktail party before the rose ceremony. But before Michelle can start the night or even say a word, Chris S steps in to make an announcement.
Before we get started, I want to say something. I wasn't at the cocktail party the other night, but I know that she addressed that she felt like she wasn't being seen.
You see, Milhouse here was reviewing the tapes of the group date and was taking notes. It's time to put on his suit of armor and don the role of White Knight. Because as we all know, white knighting in this show never fails.
I think that there are guys here that think that they have it in the bag. I think that's
I think the funny thing here is that we were actually past this. Like, yeah, Michelle felt unseen, but she did the right thing and brought it up herself. She handled it, she didn't need Chris S to do it. She chatted with the guys and was able to move past it, but now we're rehashing it all over again. Well, Milhouse sits down with Michelle first and pulls the classic Bachelorette White Knight move of spending his time talking about the other dudes instead of him and Michelle. Specifically, he calls out Nayte for his comment from the beginning of the episode about not worrying about getting a one-on-one at some point. And if you don't believe this man has been white knighting, he'll even tell you himself.
I came in on my white horse and I saved her from the castle that she's been stuck in.
But probably the cringiest part of this whole sit-down is this moment right here.
I think you deserve to know.
Thank you. Chris S.
Yeah, this guy is going nowhere. I mean, the rejected kiss and the ass-out hug. Even if Chris gets a rose tonight, this is a primo lesson in Bachelor tactics when you're trying to come from behind and take down one of the frontrunners.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
Well, of course, Michelle then tells Nayte all about this, and now Nayte is frustrated because instead of just having a good time with Michelle trying to move the relationship forward, he's stuck here defending himself while Michelle is rightfully annoyed about the whole situation. So Nayte pulls Chris aside and asks him what's up, and Chris won't stop saying he was probed. He was probed, Nayte! Probed!
She probed me. She probed me and asked me, and I gave her the facts. She probed me. She probed me and asked me, I told her. Probing is asking a question. She asked and probed and probed.
But the best part of it is how Chris spent a bunch of time worrying about Nayte and the other guys, and then he tells Nayte this.
Worry about yourself, dude. Now worry about me.
Dweeb. Well, I guess there's always got to be a villain, and Milhouse is now it. And right now, all the dudes in the house are turning on him. Like, even Olu here turns to Chris and tells him he's not getting a rose tonight, and Chris responds with this.
When Olu tells me I'm not gonna get a rose, she's gonna call my name, and I'm gonna say, this one's for you, Olu. And then I'm gonna wink at him.
Alright, don't tell the other dudes to worry about themselves when even when you're getting a rose, you're gonna eye down one of the other guys and not Michelle. So as you might imagine, once we get to the rose ceremony, this one comes down to whether or not Chris gets a rose.
Chris S.
And production gets to keep their villain one more episode, meaning Will, Romeo, and Chris G are headed home. And the rest of the gang are headed to Minnesota as the Bachelorette bubble is about to break and travel has finally returned to the franchise. So that's it for this recap of week 4 of The Bachelorette. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to give the video a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel as there's always more Bachelor content on the way. Speaking of, a new preview breakdown will be out tomorrow, so until then, Bachelor Fantake out.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
She probed me and asked me, I told her.